The blue economy is now a new toast in global trade, and the foresight by the present administration is preoccupied with measures on how the country's vast, rich marine resources could be fully exploited. The World Bank estimates that the ocean adds $1.5 trillion annually to the global economy, which is expected to double by 2030. And Nigeria is already positioning to harvest from the blue economy. The country's extensive coastline along the Atlantic Ocean, spanning over 850 kilometers, is home to a wide variety of marine resources, and if properly harnessed, can contribute to the nation's economic viability. Sustainable exploitation of resources in the blue economy could lead to job creation, improved security, food security, tourism, infrastructure development, and green energy, among others, thereby reducing economic vulnerability. Now, the nation's maritime subsector is estimated to generate more than 7 trillion naira annually. On the flip side, exploring the nation's ports through business-friendly policies that will open frontiers for investment opportunities, experts believe, is part of the economy that holds promising prospects. These are some of the issues we will be looking at tonight. We have reports filed in by our correspondent across the country as we beam our spotlight on blue economy and prospects of Nigeria's ports. Our guests are Professor Busayo Fakinlede, Technical Aide to the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, and Mr. Emmanuel Ilori, Vice President, Association of Marine Engineers and Surveyors. He will be joining us via Zoom from Lagos. Thank you once again for joining us. Welcome. This is Weekend File. I'm Ruth Aguele. First, we begin with the news. President Bola Tinubu has called for an equitable access to capital for developing countries, saying such will provide the much-needed resources for development, thus solving some of the most pressing challenges in the world today. Represented by the Budget and Economic Planning Minister Atiku Bagudo at the 19th Summit of Heads of State and Government of the Non-Aligned Movement in Kampala, Uganda. The Nigerian leader pointed out that the developing world is not looking for sympathy or begging, but fair and equal opportunity. In a statement by the Director of Information, Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning, Folashade Boriowo, President Bola Tinubu noted that the combined population of the 120 countries that make up the non-aligned movement is about 55% of the world's population. Yet, the total financial resources available to all these countries are much less than that of some countries.
Nigeria wishes to lend its voice to the non-aligned movement member states' common position in condemning the present wanton destruction of lives and properties in the state of policy.
President Tinubu listed the challenges facing the world currently to include climate change, conflict and wars, terrorism, and widening inequality. The president pointed out that the theme of the summit, which is deepening cooperation for shared global affluence, bears relevance with respect to the current trend of wars, proliferation of small arms and light weapons, threat of use of nuclear weapons, and the dangerous polarization between developed countries similar to the era of Cold War. On climate change, the Nigerian president, who acknowledged that the developing countries were moving forward on the issue with courage and ambition, adding that to move forward decisively, access to affordable climate finance and technologies is critical.
The non-aligned movement shall unite must be good pressure that sessions of the United Nations General Assembly be devoted to issues of justice.
The non-aligned movement is the largest gathering of countries, second only to the United Nations General Assembly. In other news, Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has commended the authorities of Sierra Leone for granting permission to the former president of Sierra Leone, Ernest by Kuroma to travel out of the country on health grounds. In a statement, ECOWAS reaffirmed its renewed commitment to support the government and the people of Sierra Leone in their efforts to foster peace and security, as well as deepen democracy and good governance in the country. African First Ladies, under the auspices of Organization of African First Ladies for Development, are in Maputo, capital of Mozambique, to forge a collective action towards environmental sustainability and eradication of gender inequality. Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, who is one of the guest speakers at the launch of the We Are Equal campaign and Zero Waste Movement agreement, says the scope of her pet project, Renewed Hope Initiative, will be broadened to drive these ideals using education as a tool.
As Nigeria's First Lady, I've decided to use education as a tool to promote the Organization of African First Ladies for Development, or FLAD, We Are Equal campaign. This effectively aligns with the mission of the Renewed Hope Initiative, RHI, which is driven by my office to complement the efforts of the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. At the Renewed Hope Initiative, our core efforts have centered around empowering women, promoting economic growth, and advancing gender equity. In the area of environment, recognizing the global urgency of addressing climate change, Nigeria has embraced green policy initiatives aligned with international regulations to address solid waste management. Through collaboration between government and private entities, we have witnessed tangible results.
Nigeria, she says, stands a testament to the power of collaboration in bridging educational and economic gap to promote gender equity, with a firm belief that empowering women and girls through education not only transforms their lives, but also contributes to the overall progress of the nation. The event, hosted by the First Lady of Mozambique, Isaura Inyusi, was declared open by President Filipe Jacinto Inyusi, with the First Ladies of Zimbabwe, Kenya, Botswana and Malawi in attendance, while those of Rwanda and Queen of Eswatini were represented. We turn to security. As part of the strategic security roadmap of the federal government, the Minister of Works, David Umahi, has held a meeting with the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badaru Abubakar, and the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taurid Lagbaja, with a focus on strengthening collaborations towards improving the nation's internal security through revolutionizing road infrastructure development. Describing it as a renewed hope initiative, David Umahi said the collaboration would add value to efforts at enhancing internal security in the country, expressing hope that with the interventions of Mr. President towards repositioning the nation's road infrastructure, military operations across the nation would assume greater impetus. The Chief of Army Staff, in his comments, said the cooperation would no doubt boost the ongoing military field operations across the country, as the focus on repair of 320 critical roads, as directed by the President, is a step in the right direction. In other developments still in security, troops of the Nigerian Armed Forces have rescued 21 kidnapped victims, eliminated 86 terrorists, and arrested 101 in the last 7 days. In a statement, the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, says 30 oil smugglers, 65 boats, and 14 vehicles were apprehended in the Niger Delta. Similarly, 37 dug-out pits, 71 storage tanks, and 69 illegal refining sites were destroyed. Let's also inform you that operatives of the newly inaugurated intervention squad for the FCT have been deployed to the lower Usman Dam area, a place kidnappers use as hideout. Francis Pham was part of the police entourage and reports.
From Louis Edet House, the squad moves to Ushafa in Buari Area Council. Here marked as a notorious area, and this is the path kidnappers use in moving their victims to their hideout. It is Ushafa within Lower Usuma Dam area in the Buari Area Council.
If they pick somebody from Maitama or Asokoro or that area, Pape, they will go towards the back of Pape. If we follow this road now, we will follow straight. We will go along with you. We will enter Pape. You will be surprised.
If you are forcing them out of FCT, we don't want them to assemble in any of the neighboring states. And that's why the battle will be taken to all those places. And we want to assure Nigerians very, very soon we get rid of all these hand bandits that are causing pains, sorrows, agonies to innocent Nigerians.
With a clear mandate to squarely confront the men of the underworld, the intervention squad takes a strategic position in the forest and the untarred road. The war against kidnappers and bandits in the FCT has begun, and the force enjoins the public to furnish it with intelligence whenever they notice a suspicious movement. Franks is from NTA News.
The 34th President of the Nigerian Society of Engineers is officially now in the driver's seat of the society, with a vision of rebirthing the NSE for the growth, empowerment and advancement of engineering in Nigeria. Now, this follows the successful oath of office and investiture on the new president of the NSE held in Abuja. Let's hear from Justin Bem Onye.
The umbrella body of Nigerian engineers converged this time with a rather enthralling experience. With enchantment, you may ask what the fascinating and intriguing factor was. It is the fact that for the past 65 years of the Nigerian Society of Engineers' history of existence, this is the first time a woman is crowned the president of NSE. Margaret Aino Oguntala is now the 34th president of the body. With that charisma, courage and determination, she's now calling the shots from the driver's seat with focused strategic priorities.
We begin a new chapter that is inclusive, innovative, and forward-thinking. Our mission is clear: to rebuild the NSE for the growth, empowerment, and advancement of engineering in Nigeria.
As she guides the society towards new horizons, it is hoped that her legacy of excellence, mentorship, and innovation inspires current and future generations in the engineering field. Justin Bem Unyi, NTA News.
A look at health. NAFDAC says it is investigating a viral social media post alleging that a woman fries plantain chips using oil adulterated with polythene. In a statement by NAFDAC's resident media consultant Shayo Akintola, the agency is taking a science-based approach to verifying the claim before taking any action. President Bola Tinubu celebrates Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, as he marks his birthday on January 21, 2024. President Tinubu wishes the senior advocate of Nigeria good health, wisdom and strength in the service of the nation in defense of justice, truth and unity. Welcome back. The extension of Nigeria's seaward continental boundaries from 200 to 220 nautical miles will not only expand the country's marine resources, but will equally provide platform for job opportunities. Now, beyond the theoretical are questions revolving around the scope of the marine and blue economy, prospects for growth, and how best Nigerian ports can be positioned to harness the huge benefits in the blue economy. Michael Olaleye will fill us in.
Blue, gentle and resilient, but quietly responsible for more than 80% of international trade, buttresses Arthur Clarke's phrase on how it is inappropriate to call this planet Earth when it is clearly ocean. Whether on top, within or beneath the seas and oceans are gold mines of resources that could improve livelihood and create millions of jobs with an annual worth estimated at $1.5 trillion.
The ministry, in line with its mandate, will continue to pursue vigorously the development of shipping, maritime and related sectors with a view to ensuring sustainable development.
The blue economy is expected to open up new vista in the area of marine insurance, freight forwarding, customs brokerage, ship registry and repairs.
I think we are big enough in the maritime domain to have a maritime, 1, 2, even 3 maritime banks.
How then can the Nigerian ports be well positioned for the harvest period, considering the problem of cargo diversions to neighboring countries, which the House of Representatives put at $7 billion loss in revenue annually?
Nigeria is bordered on the northern part by landlocked countries. There is need for us to explore the possibility of having them as some of the countries that use Nigeria as a transshipment hub to their landlocked neighbors. We must embark on massive port development.
The Minister of Marine and Blue Economy is prioritizing upgrade of infrastructure while equally focusing on the establishment of a shipping line in partnership with the private sector as a way to put a stop to this trend. Experts say implementation of necessary regulations and activation of a port community system will stimulate economic growth.
There's an act, the Massa Act 16 and 17 have what they call the Massa Maritime Fund, and it's for indigenous operators so that they can now continue to strengthen and build and have a research fund.
Stakeholders believe the creation of the ministry is the first step to actualizing this lofty dream. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
Developing the potential in the maritime and blue economy in Nigeria, experts say can be a turning point for the socio-economic progress of the country. To achieve this, stakeholders are calling for the revamping of the eastern ports through partnerships and initiatives with various tiers of government to grow the blue economy in the Niger Delta region. Let's hear from Robinson Derataidi.
Niger Delta region posed a great backdrop for the development of blue economy due to the enormous and varied resource deposits in the water bodies that traverse the region. Sustainable exploitation of ocean resources can help close the gap of untapped blue economy potentials in Nigeria.
Ministry of Blue Economy decentralized some of these responsibilities as in the concurrent legislative list to give the states the powers to deal with some of them.
The ports in River State, Calabar and Warri are formidable vehicles that can drive the actualization of the blue economy.
All the people in the blue economy that have to do with export and import should carry this at the back of their mind that it's about trade facilitation. It's not about only revenue.
Industry players assert that the sector can be effectively driven by the private sector, while government addresses issues of bureaucracy and strengthen regulations.
It's possible that with an agreement with the government of Equatorial Guinea, we can have a transshipment hub in Malabo that you can then stem cargo Malabo/Calabar, and it goes into that terminal.
State governments in the region are urged to initiate policies back up with appropriate laws towards developing the sector. In Port Harcourt, Robinson Derataide, NTA News.
All right, so let's begin the conversation on blue economy and Nigeria's prospect for the ports, talking about ports, both inland dry port and the deep sea ports. We have two guests. We have one with us here in the studio, Professor Busayo Fakinlede, Technical Aide to the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy. Thank you, Prof, for joining us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we have joining us via Zoom in Lagos is Mr. Emmanuel Ilori. He's the Vice President, Association of Marine Engineers and Surveyors. Thank you very much, Mr. Ilori, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We'll get to you very shortly. Let me begin with you, Professor Fakinlede. We'll feel the pulse of this present administration, even with the renaming or coming of a new ministry, Marine and Blue Economy. Of course, that shows high demonstration and commitment for the body language of this present administration, coming with renewed vigor for the blue economy, which the world globally is already tapping into. Now, for Nigeria, can you paint a narrative for us, the prospects therein?
Thank you very much. Marine and blue economy is not just starting. In Nigeria, we've been in maritime sectors for years. It's just now that the president has just been gracious to create the marine and blue economy, and primarily is to harness the vast maritime resources that we have in the country. And that is an assignment, because you see that marine and blue economy and maritime sectors is the final frontier for economic viability for the country. And it is high time now that the ministry is here for us to really take that advantage and use it for our economic growth.
Okay, Professor Fakinlede, I'll get back to you. Let's get to Mr. Ilori. Mr. Ilori, you heard the opening remarks of Prof here. The World Bank has given us an estimate of $1.5 trillion as the target for revenue from the blue economy globally. And then we're seeing a report rather from the masses saying the untapped potential of blue economy for Nigeria is about $296 billion. What do you make out of it, considering the fact that there are vast potential and yet untapped?
Thank you very much. We've been on this issue for so many years, and the important thing over the time is that we need to look at abstract solutions and pragmatic solutions. We have heard so many times that Nigeria has potential, but what do we do to translate these abstract solutions to realistic solutions that can drive Nigerian economy? And that's where the debate should be. What can we do to make sure that all these opportunities become realistic economic development and realistic solutions? So that's where I think we need to begin to engage with this discourse.
Okay, Mr. Ilori, I'll get to you shortly. Prof, you just heard Mr. Ilori, and I know that the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy has already started strategizing on how to utilize this potential therein, looking at the blue economy. It also has the potential to generate job creation. What would you say is the ministry looking at areas of concern, to bring about these jobs that are yet to be identified?
Thank you. The ministry, we've set up a lot of, if you look in the last couple of week, in November we had a stakeholder engagement in Lagos, bringing all the stakeholders in the marine and blue economy together. We had a very detailed strategic section. We have a lot of people, stakeholders in the industry that have vast knowledge and understanding, and they have been in the industry for quite some time. So the first step is to be able to put them together, ask for their opinions, and also we all know some of the issues, and come up with a great understanding and ideas on how to move forward. And after that, we also had a high technical stakeholders here in Abuja a couple of weeks ago, and that also was to plan a strategic plan and also a policy, because before we can dive deep into marine and blue economy, is a vast, it has a vast sectors and great opportunity. We need to clearly know what we need to do. We have, the good thing is that we have a lot of countries in the world that have started earlier, and we are looking at how they've started, what is their policy in terms of getting off grants. If you're trying to build a skyscraper, you need a solid foundation, and the ministry, headed by His Excellency, has done great thing by make sure that we put together the stakeholders engagement. We have a technical stakeholders. We are looking at a strategic plan for the full ministry, and also policy teams are working on the policy, looking at different country, and also talking to the stakeholders here and abroad to be able to have a solid foundation, so that we can, because a lot of the population, everybody is looking at this is very important, so we have to get it right, and to get it right we have to start very right.
And it's good you mentioned, Prof, about the policies, because it's one thing to have your strategy streamlined, it's another thing to have them documented and have a target headlong. Mr. Ilori, I want to pick up with the legal framework based on what Prof has just stated. Looking at the legal framework in the marine sector, if the federal government is demonstrating commitment to exploiting the maritime resources, what areas of consideration should be looked into while these policies are being pushed out there?
Thank you very much. We are not devoid of research or reports that will drive the Nigerian maritime industry. If you're talking about the legal framework, we went far back to copy the Jones Act that's supposed to drive the development of Nigerian maritime industry. If you take China, for example, they started from home, and Nigeria, we thought would start from home. The cabotage policy, which is one of the things that we have now, was copied from the Jones Act from America. So in terms of legal framework, we are not devoid of legal framework. The issue is the implementation of this legal framework. We need to test them, and then if there are shortcomings, we can then correct the shortcomings. I think the problem we have in Nigeria, as vast as we are, is trying to implement what we have and then to learn as we go along. The Cabotage Act, for instance, is a lawyer's paradise, where everybody is looking for how to avoid compliance with the legal requirements. The Americans, for instance, they had the capacity for the trade, and then they made sure they protected the trade. But in Nigeria, for example, we do not have the capacity, and then we have the legal framework there. So what do we do? Now, with a population of over 200 million people, Nigeria has what it takes to lead or be one of the leading nations in the world. And we have been part of this debate of the engagement globally. So the issue is that, where do we go? It's not a case of we are devoid of the technical framework or the legal framework. We need to have the will to make sure that Nigeria actually takes the leading role. Given our position globally, the position of Nigeria today is such that we can lead Africa. We are the leading population in the world, and we are the black world today. we are so far away from the leading maritime nation. So there's nothing stops us from actually taking the lead in Africa. And it's not that we are devoid of what it takes to do it. It's the will
Indeed, Mr. Ilori. Mr. Ilori, I'd like to come in there. We'll have to take a break. I understand the point you're making, and I'm sure there's a whole lot we can explore, especially if we look within. Let's take a break. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The blue economy, focusing on sustainable use of ocean resources, could indeed drive rapid economic growth in Nigeria. It has the potential to boost employment opportunities and overall economic growth. Achari Maxwell from Kaduna has a report on how Kaduna Inland Dry Port is operating to enhance economic activities in the blue economy sector.
The maritime industry is playing a vital role in achieving the $1 trillion economic growth target of the federal government by the year 2027. Kaduna Inland Dry Port, in its own way, is making efforts to see that Nigeria attains that dream in the next 4 years. About 250 containers are being discharged monthly since its commenced operations 6 years ago, with the aim of decongesting other ports across Nigeria for more robust and effective operations in the maritime industry.
Transportation, as of today, to move container from Lagos is more than 2.5 to 3 million. It depends on the size. And when you are looking using by rail, definitely you cannot pay up to 50% of that. So that we reduce the costs.
Stakeholders say the blue economy has the capacity to turn things around for the quick actualization of the needed economic growth.
Customers have done a lot. The NICE 2 is working. But there's need to create a model for all the inland ports that every cargo destined to inland dry port, particularly Kaduna Inland Dry Port and Dala, should be allowed.
Now, what stakeholders are advocating for is that the federal government should make it compulsory for shipping companies to consider Kaduna Inland Dry Port as their final destination, so that it can create more job opportunities and improve business activities. From the Kaduna Inland Dry Port, Achari Maxwell, NTA News.
Thank you very much, Achari there. Prof, let me get back to you. Based on the report we just saw, that's the Kaduna Inland Dry Port there. Our ports are begging for help. Some of them, especially when it comes to the issue of decongestion, the overwhelming nature as a result of the deficit in infrastructure. We saw from our background report that the minister understands, talking about the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, understand the gap steering, and there's a thinking cap ongoing when it comes to port development. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, thank you very much. The importance of interland dry port cannot be overemphasized as part of marine and blue economy. And as soon as the new administration comes in, we have put in place a lot of things to do in terms of the dry port. The dry port itself cannot be. We need a lot of railroad, good road, and there has to create a kind of corridor to enable the dry port to function. And also, you can see last week. We were in Funtua Dry Port in Katsina, and even there's a lot of collaboration with the Katsina government, with the country in the Sahel region, the Niger, Chad, and Burkina Faso, already trying to come through our inland dry port to get their goods across into Europe. And that is the kind of business that this inland dry port brings, and that is why it is very important to develop them and to also create a kind of opportunity and a link where those goods can get in directly, and port cargo coming in from Europe and America can have their destination all the way to Kaduna and also to Katsina. And that is the aim of this new administration, and that is what we push in doing. By in a couple of weeks, the Funtua dry port will be ready for commissioning, and we are all looking forward to that. And then we have other dry port lineup for construction, PPP, through PPP program. So the excitement of government and the understanding the importance of dry port is really high, and they are pursuing that.
Thank you, Prof. Mr. Hillary, we've seen some of the challenges, and part of the outcry by one of the stakeholders is the diversion of, ship to other neighboring countries when it comes to trade and linkages. Now, that could pose a lot of delay and drag for businesses to thrive on our ports effectively. What recommendations, would you be offering in terms of streamlining some of these aspects to see that our ports, our marine, our blue economy thrives?
Thank you very much. Let me just try to address the issue of the dry ports before we go into the problem that you raised. Dry ports are good if you have an effect from where they are, either from the landing ports to the ports or from the dry ports to the sea. At the moment, the concept of dry ports actually adversely affects our roads, because we cannot be putting these heavy goods on the roads because of the challenges. So what happens to the utilization of the inland waterways to reduce the congestion of the roads? If we put the goods on the dry ports on the roads, then we are creating more challenges for ourselves. I'm sure this will be an issue for debate elsewhere. In terms of the ports on the neighboring countries, of course, naturally, the consignee will want to use the most efficient ways of evacuating their cargo. And that's the challenge that we have here at the moment in Nigeria, where the efficiency of our ports needs to be improved. So we need to look at the efficiency of our ports and the challenges facing cargo evacuation in our ports in Nigeria at the moment. If you want to make Nigerian ports to be competitive, then we need to look effectively at the cargo evacuation arrangement. Yes, Nigeria has the potential to be a leading nation, but we need to prioritize this blue economy situation. So what are the low-hanging fruits? Because Nigeria has the potential to be the leading nation in Africa because of our population, because of our economy, because of all those issues. But we need to prioritize the low-hanging fruits in terms of our ports. Now, we have the proliferation of deep sea ports.
Okay, Mr. Hillary, we're having a challenge with your signal. Mr. Hillary, we're having a challenge with your signal, but we want to thank you very much for being part of Weekend File. Thank you for your contribution and recommendations, of course. Mr. Emmanuel Hillary is the Vice President, Association of Marine Engineers and Surveyors. Mr. Hillary, I was just thanking you for being part of the program. Okay, so Prof, let me just get to you here in the studio. There's a lot, we can actually delve into, but because of time, I want you to share to Nigerians the prospect and the renewed vigor we're seeing from the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. What are the projections in terms of economic trajectory that could be harnessed? Final thoughts, please, Prof.
Thank you. Now, if we look at maritime sectors, and we talk of maritime security, maritime infrastructure, ports optimization, inland waterway, like Mr. Ilori mentioned earlier, and maritime tourism. And if we take it a step further, we have living marine resources, which is fishery, and then we talk of non-living, talk of cabling, seabed mining, and we talk of technology. We have biotechnology, marine genetics. So in terms of marine and blue economy, the opportunities are vast, and the projection, it's a good projection, but we need to start strong. We need a policy. We need to develop our inland waterway. We need to link our dry ports with good railroad, and that is going to be a collaboration between Transport Ministry and Marine and Blue Economy, which is already going on. We also need to develop the innovative area, the areas that we have not even we're not even thinking about. We talk of renewable energy, wave. We have wave energy, tidal energy, and offshore winds. So these are part of marine and blue economy. And when we dive into fishery is huge in Nigeria, but we need foreign direct investment. The Honorable Minister always talk about PPP. We need to collaborate with local partners, foreign partners, to develop our marine and blue economy. I can go on and on in terms of opportunity,
yes,
but that is a great future.
All right.
But we need to start strong, and that is what we are doing right now.
Of course, the ministry, I can see from demonstration, they've hit the ground running. Let's just hope that they explore innovative ideas and best practices. Thank you very much, Professor Busayo Fakinlede. He's a technical aide to the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy. Thank you for your contributions on Weekend File.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And we've been looking at Nigeria's blue economy, actually, and the prospect for our ports. But let's talk sports now. Sports correspondent Abdullah Ajia. Ajia, I was following some of the matches earlier played today. It was quite exciting, but you are the genius, so please fill us in.
Thank you, Ruth. You're very right, talking about some of the matches that came up today, and we saw some of these teams showing their prowess and their mettle. Now, let's go straight to the stories. As tacos and dribbles continue the African style, this Saturday, 2 times winners of the Africa Cup of Nations, the Desert Foxes of Algeria, are still in search of their first win in the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations, as the North Africans had a time equalizer from Baghdad, but Niger denied the Stallions of Burkina Faso their second win, with score ending at 2-2. 2013 finalists are second on Group D with 4 points. In a 5-goal thriller, the giant Sebo Antelope of Angola claimed their 3 points to the 9 hard-fighting Almoravids of Mauritania in a game that both teams gave good accounts of themselves. The 3-2 result now pushes Angola up the Group D table. In tomorrow's fixtures, the first kick-off will see the Atlas Lions of Morocco, a major size, with the Leopards of Democratic Republic of Congo at the San Pedro Lorenpoco Stadium. The second game will be between 2012 winners, the Chipolopolo of Zambia, and the Kilimanjaro Stars of Tanzania, while the Bafana Bafana of South Africa will have to put behind the disappointments of their first loss when they square up against the Brave Warriors of Namibia. Now, President of the Nigerian Football Federation, Ibrahim Gusau, has charged the Super Eagles of Nigeria not to get carried away by their victory over Cote d'Ivoire in their second group match, while commending the Eagles for claiming 3 points against the host in a hostile atmosphere. Gusau revealed that a big challenge lies ahead. Hence, they need to be more resolute.
Happy, and I hope by the grace of God, this, as I said earlier, is the beginning of the successes to come. As everybody is praying for us, and we continue to plead with them, everybody, every single Nigerian, to continue to pray for us. This struggle is for all of us. It's for all of us. So we need to wake up, to talk to everybody to pray for. And I know Nigerians who are praying for us. And this is the beginning of it. Good things to come. Today, God has opened the door for us, and by the grace of God, we are moving. And we'll continue to celebrate every single day. We go to play a match by the grace of God.
Prayer and hard work will do wonders. Meanwhile, Super Eagles striker and reigning African Footballer of the Year, Victor Osimhen, says the team will not underrate their next group opponents, Guinea-Bissau, when both teams clash in a potential group decided on Monday.
We know them, we played them in the qualifying series. They are a dangerous team if you let them play. I think we will go back to look at the last game in which they won, and we will start the game and come out really strong again.
All right, and just before we go, the match between Tunisia and Mali is still 1 goal apiece at the moment, which has been televised on the terrestrial platforms of the NTA. Well, that is AFCON update for today, as I hand you back to Ruth Aguele.
Thank you very much, Ajia. We'll keep praying for the Super Eagles, right? Thank you. All right, are we taking a break or... Okay, we're done. I was going to stay with you more, but let's go for a good night rest. And that's Weekend File today. Thank you for your company. I'm Ruth Aguele. Bye.